তো আমাদের পরবর্তী প্রেজেন্টেশন দিবে হচ্ছে মাহফুজুর রহমান মাসুম, ও হচ্ছে চিফ টেকনোলজি অফিসার মুক্ত সফটওয়্যার লিমিটেড। তো মাসুমের ডাক নাম হচ্ছে কোবা মাসুম। তো কোবা মাসুমের কারণ হচ্ছে ও যখন বুয়েটে লেখাপড়া করতো তখন কোন ওই টিচারকে ওরা কোবা শামসু ডাকতো, কিন্তু টিচারের উপর বিরক্ত হয়ে একটা ভাইরাস বানায় ফেলে, যেটা ওয়ার্ল্ডে 500,000 কম্পিউটারকে এফেক্টেড করে উইন্ডোজের একটা সিকিউরিটি হোল। পরে মাইক্রোসফট একটা প্যাচ দিতে বাধ্য হয়। তো সেটা অনেক আগের কাহিনী, মাসুম এখন অনেক ভদ্র হয়ে গেছে। তো মাসুম প্লিজ।
Hello, welcome everyone. আমি মুক্তো সফটওয়্যার লিমিটেড থেকে মাহফুজুর রহমান অলরেডি পরিচয় পেয়েছি। সো শুরু করি। আমি গতকাল ফেসবুকে এই এক্সকেসিডির একটা লিঙ্ক শেয়ার করেছিলাম। তো এখানে যেটা দেখা যাচ্ছে যে পাইথন এত অসাম যে we can fly very easily. Just you need to import anti-gravity to do that. So if you want to do that, this is a metaphor actually, but this explains that how much awesome is Python. So Django is a web framework that is on top of Python. So it's already awesome, you know. And it is called that it is for perfectionists with deadlines. So we think we want to be perfectionist, and we have deadlines always as a developer. So this might be a good fit for us. So and it also has a lot of patterns included, a lot of things included in it that you don't need to develop again. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. And this will help you to make a spaceship or something like that. And so you can go to Mars if you want. Okay, no more metaphors. Let's come to reality, and let's see what Django can help you to do. So let's see at first that what a good framework needs to do for you. It needs to do your common task very faster, easier, and error-free. So you can concentrate on your specialty, or that the app you are working with, what is special with that, you can concentrate with that. And it will make your common task faster, easier, and error-free. And Django is very good at that. Django has a lot of patterns included, a lot of things are done for you. For example, the ORM that helps you to connect to any database. Most of the databases are supported, and you have a very good admin interface there that you can you already get there, and you find user interface, nice user interface with model products and so on. And ORM is also very good at doing any type of queries you want. Almost any type of queries you can do with this excellent ORM that Django provides you. And it also has user authentications, forms automatically. It will validate forms for you. If you write the constraints, it can validate the forms for you. So it also helps in securing your web forms, so that users just randomly do not type anything to hack your system. And the system mostly gets validated, but you also need to use your brain while using this tool. You have sessions, caching, internationalizations, and the testing tools, templates, etc. There are a lot of things. And you can extend it very easily. There are migrations, API creation is very smooth, you have seen already. And though that was a different framework, but Django also has REST framework that is also awesome. And you can create right out of the box blogs, forums, e-commerce, CMS, many common tasks you can do very easily, just including a plugin or something like that. And there are a lot of packages in DjangoPackages.com. You can explore there if you want. And at Mukto, we use Django because it is awesome. And we have developed several large-scale automation projects using this. And for example, BIWTA, a government organization here, that has a that has already a large amount of works, a large amount of tasks that needs to be done. And these things are automated already by us in BIWTA. And BIWTA has plans to extend their system to the mass people. So you know that it already needs to handle a lot of requests, a lot of API requests, and a lot of users. So there comes some challenge to solve to handle this lot of requests using Django. And we also deployed in GlaxoSmithKline another project that's also based on Django. So there are things happening in Mukto with Django. And but Django won't make your system auto-scale. You need to use your brain. So while you write your codes, you just need to use your brain and use the power of Django, so you can scale at large. If you have millions of users, that's not a problem at all. So Django is a powerful tool, and you need to use it sensibly to make it scale. I'm giving you some examples that many developers do wrong with Django. For example, when you do a model, when you write a model, here is an example of a bad model code written, and you can see that at the last area there is some used null equals true, and you should never use null actually, because null doesn't do what you expect it to do. There is an example already that if you sum over a null field that won't do what you expect it to do, you have to specifically tell it that treat null as 0 or something. Otherwise, it will do something wrong with for you. And you need to separate your derived data in your models. When you write your models, always try to separate your derived data. And also, you have, I think you have already heard about these terms, normalizing, denormalizing. When you have, you always know already that there are foreign keys, and there are foreign keys for a reason. So whenever you have a chance to implement something using a foreign key, you just do that. Very simple. But for some tables that need to handle a large amount of queries and similar queries, you might need to denormalize the data, because otherwise you are doing many joins in that query, and doing joins is not very efficient, we know. And of course, this is very important, that we need to do index. And in Django, this is very easy. You just have to add dbindex equals true, and well, you are done. Very easy. But there's something wrong with that. If you do index every column, then there will be something wrong with your data, that it can even make your 90 gigabyte database into 157 gigabytes for the additional data needed to index the database. And most of the time you won't use most of your indexes. So you just need to index sensibly. You just need to index the fields that you really need to. And there's also another problem with indexing, that insert and update takes more time, because it needs to also update the indexes over there. So index sensibly and use indexing when it is necessary and when you need to reduce the number of candidates of rows. Then you do the indexing. And also use multiple column indexes whenever it is necessary to do that. And Django has migrations. That is very awesome tool to migrate your databases. But when, for example, you have a database table with a lot of rows, millions of rows, but you just need to add a new column to your table right now. So how do you do that? That's very easy, actually, but if you run an alter table query in that database, actually, that is database table, then that will simply explicitly lock the table, the time when it's altering the table, and your system will get down for some time. And if you have millions of rows, it will be hours that your system gets down. So you need to do it very sensibly. How to do that? That's not very complex, actually. You first alter the table using null. That's very fast. And then you update your null fields into something. For example, if you have added a Boolean table, a Boolean column, then you just set that to false, and that is that also not gonna lock your whole table. And also after that, you can alter table and set column B not null, and that would also be a fast. So this is one kind of solution to the problem. There is another problem. We often do that, either intentionally or not intentionally, but never iterate over query sets. This is the message from me. If you think you have to iterate over a query set, then see rule number 1. And if you are certain that only possible way is to iterate, ask yourself, am I certain? What's the problem to iterate over a query set? For example, here is a code, sample code that has QS equals orders.object_all. You have taken all the orders. There are 2.5 million rows, and you have get all those rows into this QS, and after that you are iterating over. The thing that you are doing here, that can be done easily using update queries in database, right? But you are doing it in Django. This is not Django's fault. This is your fault, because you are not giving the right task to the right person. You need to give the task of data into the database, not to the Django. So when we do this type of things and get in trouble, we generally tell that Django is not very good, but that is not the case, actually. If you do that with any other frameworks, same thing will happen. Okay, so just do not do this, actually. So what to do? Queries, we can use query setup, update, and use update our columns that are needed to update our cursor to execute. You can execute update query over there, or you can use stored procedure in database. What about limit? We can add QS. You can see the you can see the clause over there that how to add limits to a clause. But most cases you need a sort to when you are using the limit. You most of the time need to sort the table, and again the problem arises. You need to sort the whole table, and if you are not indexing that column, then it will be a disaster. So make sure you have indexes in those columns that you are doing sorts over. So there is another very nice thing in Django. This is very nice, actually, the in operation. You can do things.objects.filter ID in. You give it some list. That's very nice, and you generally use it. Very innocent, right? But not so innocent. This is a result of a query. This whole query will get executed into the database if you do something like that, because your list has a lot of items. So when you are doing these things, do it very sensibly, because if your list have this type of large amount of elements in it, then it will be very difficult to execute for the database. Very expensive for the database to parse and expensive to execute too. So we can try a join instead. Use join inside of a nested join in that query, and that will do very fast. Transactions. Many times we need transactions in database. For example, here is a Django code you are writing. You have created an address and then saved that address and use that address as a shipping address in the order model. And you also save that. What happens here is both of the save queries will be executed in this fashion, actually. This is not doing it the way you want it to do. This is not doing transactions. If you want to do transactions, you need to begin and insert both of the values and then commit. If any of one fails, both of will fail. For example, I'm going to the previous one. If you have saved the address successfully, but haven't saved the order successfully, then what will happen? Database will have an address that do not have any order, or vice versa can also happen. You have address, that address failed, but you are using that address, a failed thing that doesn't exist in the database, and you are using orders. You are inserting something into the orders table. So this makes inconsistent data in your database. So what's the solution? Run with autocommit on in Django and wrap DB modifying code with @commit on success decorator. That will help you to implement the transactions. You can also cache in Django. Django has built-in cache capabilities. You need to cache. You can cache in templates or template fragments or widgets, and you can also cache expensive query sets, so that you don't have to ask the database more time. Okay, you can use connection pooling. Connection pooling is something that helps you to keep the connection with the database or with any other services, so that you don't have to reconnect every time when you are querying that dataset or querying that API or something like that. So connection pooling helps you to make your system work faster. And many times we need to load balance. For example, in BIWTS system we have 5 servers running parallelly and serving the users. So if you have many servers running parallelly and you need to load balance between those servers, some users are served from some servers, some users are served from other servers. If one servers go down, no problem. Your remaining servers can serve your system to the users very easily. And how to do that is load balancing, actually. So Django supports multiple database servers, and most database supports replication, you know already. What replication is actually is you're distributing your database into several machines, and you can do it in several ways. For example, in Postgres, you can use master-slave configuration or master-master configuration if you want. So if you are using master-slave configuration, you need to direct all your writes, all your updates, all your inserts into the primary, and you need to read from the secondary, because when you write into the primary, the data you write will get replicated into the secondary servers. For example, you have written a record in one server, that is primary server, and after that you want to read back. For example, I'm using a Twitter and I am typing my status and send. After that, you expect it to come into your newsfeed or something. But there is a problem that is called replication lag. When you write something in one server and you read something from other server, then it takes some time to get the data replicated into the secondary servers. So that's called replication lag, and this time can be some minutes to some weeks also if you have a very large deployment. So you need to solve these problems. Don't use read after write. Use the values you have just written already. You can use them, and you can also explicitly direct the read to the primary if you want to read after writing to the database. So there is multi-pass master replication that is also possible using Django, and you need to use Bookerdo that supports multi-master. And to do that, you need to have your primary keys assigned very sensibly, because, for example, you have 5 machines. You have primary keys that cannot be, that needs to be unique over all the machines actually. So if you use database increment IDs, then auto increment IDs, then what will happen? In the first server, the first ID comes, for example, ID number 1, and in the second server it also will come ID number 1, and there will be a conflict. So you need some way to manage into several servers that for example, in first server there will be ID number 1, second server ID number 2 or something, and you need to manage this thing. And to manage this thing, there are some useful things. For example, you can use UUIDs. You know what UUIDs are? Okay, so if you want UUIDs, you know that they are not integer. They are not integer. But if you need IDs that are integer, then you can use Twitter Snowflake. That is a very nice system to generate unique identity over several thousand servers if you have. That's not a problem at all. So you can use Twitter Snowflake, and Django has something to implement that also. And also you can use offset values. That is not recommended actually. So at last, Django is a very powerful tool. So what I wanted to give you the message is use it very sensibly, because with great power comes great responsibility. Thank you.